The day Marcus left Tiana, he believed he was choosing success. At least, that's what he told himself. The truth felt more complicated, but he didn't stop to examine it. He packed his suitcase quickly, not angrily, not dramatically, just efficiently, like someone finishing a task he had already completed emotionally weeks before. Tiana stood in the doorway, arms crossed tightly against her chest. She wasn't crying. That unsettled him more than anything. "You really doing this?" she asked quietly. Marcus avoided her eyes. "I need to focus on my future," he said. The words sounded rehearsed. Because they were. He had practiced them in his mind during long drives home from work, convincing himself that ambition required sacrifice. And that sacrifice was her. The apartment felt smaller than usual. 2 years of memories pressed into the walls, shared laughter, late-night conversations, dreams spoken aloud without fear. But lately, Marcus felt restless. He had just received a promotion offer, new city, new salary, new network of powerful people. And somewhere along the way, he began believing that Tiana didn't fit into that future. "You said we were building together," she said softly. "We were," he replied quickly. Then what changed? Marcus hesitated. He wanted to say something honest, but honesty felt messy, harder. So instead, he said something easier. "I need someone who moves at my pace." Silence filled the room. Tiana's eyes flickered, not with anger, with understanding. And that somehow hurt more. "You mean someone who already has what you think you deserve?" The words landed gently, but precisely. Marcus sighed. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." She nodded slowly. "I'm not." Another pause. "Just answer me honestly," she said. "Do you think I'm holding you back?" Marcus hesitated, and in that hesitation, she found her answer. Her shoulders straightened. "Okay," she whispered. No fight, no begging, just acceptance. Marcus picked up his suitcase. He expected tears, drama, something that would justify his decision. Instead, she stepped aside quietly, giving him space to leave. That calmness followed him down the hallway, into the elevator, into the parking lot, and into his new life. At first, everything felt right. The new city buzzed with energy, glass buildings, fast conversations, people who measured worth by titles and connections. Marcus thrived. Long hours turned into recognition. Recognition turned into influence, and influence felt intoxicating. He dated casually, networked aggressively, built a reputation for ambition and precision. When people asked about past relationships, he summarized Tiana simply. "We wanted different things." It sounded clean, simple, final. Months turned into a year. Tiana rarely crossed his mind, except during quiet moments when success felt strangely empty. Then, one afternoon, during a corporate networking event, something unexpected happened. He overheard a conversation. Two executives discussing a new tech company dominating headlines. "Her growth strategy is insane," one said. "Yeah," the other replied, "and she's only getting started." Marcus listened casually at first. "What's her name again?" "Tiana Brooks." The name hit him like a sudden shift in gravity. He froze. No, it couldn't be. But then they continued. "She built the platform from scratch. Investors are calling her the next tech giant. She's already worth billions." Marcus laughed quietly to himself. Coincidence? It had to be. But curiosity gnawed at him. He pulled out his phone, typed her name, and when her face appeared on the screen, confident, composed, standing beside headlines announcing her success, the world seemed to slow. It was her. The same woman he had left behind. The same woman he believed wasn't moving fast enough. Now, a billionaire. Marcus stared at the screen, heart racing. Memories flooded back. Late nights when she worked on her laptop. Ideas she had shared excitedly. Projects he dismissed as hobbies. Suddenly, everything looked different. And for the first time since leaving her, he felt something he hadn't expected. Regret. Marcus stared at the screen longer than he intended to. The noise of the networking event faded into a distant blur. Laughter, glasses clinking, conversations about investments and market trends, all dissolving into the background as he read headline after headline. Tiana Brooks launches billion-dollar platform. Self-made entrepreneur reshaping the tech industry. From unknown developer to industry leader. Her photo appeared beside every article, confident, composed, radiating a quiet power he had never fully noticed before. Or maybe he never allowed himself to see it. His stomach tightened. He remembered nights when she sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open, eyes glowing with excitement as she explained ideas that sounded abstract to him at the time. Just a side project, he had told friends dismissively. Something she did for fun, something temporary, not serious. And now, the room spun slightly as realization hit him. She had always been serious. He just wasn't listening. One of his colleagues approached him, interrupting his thoughts. "You okay?" the man asked. Marcus blinked, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just reading something surprising." The colleague laughed. "Market's changing again?" Marcus hesitated. "Something like that." He slipped the phone back into his pocket, but the image stayed burned into his mind. Tiana, the woman he left behind because he believed she wasn't moving fast enough, because he thought she lacked ambition, because he assumed she didn't fit into his future. Now, she was a future others chased. The irony felt almost unbearable. Later that night, back in his apartment overlooking the city skyline, Marcus opened his laptop again. He searched deeper this time. Interviews, podcasts, panels where she spoke about innovation and resilience. Her voice sounded calm, measured, confident in a way that felt familiar, yet completely new. He watched one interview where the host asked how she built her company. She smiled softly before answering. "I started with nothing but an idea and a lot of quiet nights." Marcus felt his chest tighten. Quiet nights. He remembered those. He remembered sitting beside her on the couch, scrolling through his phone while she coded for hours. He remembered thinking she was wasting time. He remembered suggesting she focus on something more stable. He paused the video suddenly. The weight of memory pressed heavily against him. He realized something painful. He had never truly understood her vision. He had measured success by speed, promotions, titles, visible progress. She had measured success by patience, consistency, belief. And while he chased recognition, she built something real. Days passed. Marcus tried to return to normal life. Meetings, calls, networking events. But thoughts of her kept resurfacing unexpectedly. He found himself wondering about moments he once ignored. Her calm confidence, her refusal to rush, her ability to sit quietly with uncertainty while he grew restless. One afternoon, during a strategy meeting, his attention drifted again. A colleague mentioned a partnership opportunity with her company. The words snapped him back to reality. "Brooks Industries is expanding into international markets," the colleague said. "We should consider collaborating." Marcus felt his pulse quicken. Seeing her again suddenly felt possible and terrifying. After the meeting, he stayed behind, staring out the window. Why did it matter so much? He had built his own success. He had everything he wanted, or at least everything he thought he wanted. Yet the thought of her thriving without him stirred something deeper. Not jealousy. Not exactly. Regret. Regret wrapped in curiosity. That evening, he drove aimlessly through the city. Lights blurred past, memories surfaced without invitation. The first time they met, her laugh when he tried cooking and burned everything, the way she listened without interrupting when he talked about his ambitions. She had believed in him long before others did. And he left when her journey didn't align with his timeline. He parked near a quiet waterfront, sitting in silence. For the first time, he asked himself a question he had avoided. Had he left because she wasn't enough, or because he didn't recognize her worth? The answer hurt. Weeks later, an invitation arrived. A tech conference. Keynote speaker, Tiana Brooks. Marcus stared at the email. His finger hovered over the RSVP button. Part of him wanted to avoid it completely, to protect himself from discomfort. Another part needed to see her, needed to understand who she had become, or maybe needed to understand who she had always been. He clicked accept. The conference venue buzzed with energy. Crowds moved quickly. Excitement filled the air. Marcus felt strangely nervous, a feeling unfamiliar to him. He found a seat near the back of the auditorium. Lights dimmed, music softened, and then she walked onto the stage. The room erupted into applause. She looked the same and completely different. Same steady eyes, same quiet confidence, but now amplified by experience, presence, authority. Marcus felt something shift deep inside him. As she began speaking, her voice carried effortlessly through the room. She spoke about resilience, about building when no one was watching, about believing in your own timeline when others doubt you. At one point, she said something that made his breath catch. Sometimes the people who leave your life don't realize they were standing in front of something extraordinary. The audience nodded, inspired, but Marcus felt the words land directly on him. Was she talking about him? Or was that just his guilt projecting meaning? After the speech, people gathered around her, eager for introductions. Marcus stood still, unsure whether to approach. He watched from a distance, noticing how others listened to her now, respected her, admired her. He felt proud and ashamed because he remembered a time when she had looked at him with that same admiration, and he walked away. Eventually, their eyes met across the room. Recognition flickered, not shock, not anger, just awareness. And for a moment, time stood still. Marcus didn't move at first. The crowd surrounded her. Investors, journalists, entrepreneurs eager to shake her hand or steal a moment of her attention. He watched from across the room, unsure whether approaching her was courage or selfishness. Their eyes had met only briefly, but that moment stayed with him. There had been recognition, but no shock, no emotional reaction, just calm awareness. And somehow, that unsettled him more than anger would have. He waited until the crowd began to thin, until the excitement softened into quieter conversations, until she stood alone for just a moment, speaking with a conference assistant. Then he took a step forward. Each movement felt heavier than expected. He had walked into boardrooms without fear, negotiated deals worth millions, but now his hands felt slightly unsteady. Tiana. Her name left his mouth quietly. She turned slowly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Time folded in on itself, memories layered over reality. She smiled gently, Not warm enough to suggest closeness, not cold enough to feel hostile, just polite. Marcus. Hearing his name in her voice again felt strange, familiar, yet distant. You look well, she said. You too, he replied quickly. An awkward silence followed. He searched for something meaningful to say, but words felt clumsy. I saw your presentation, he added finally. It was incredible. Thank you, she said simply. No false humility, no attempt to minimize her success, just acceptance. That confidence struck him deeply. Years ago, she would have looked to him for validation. Now she didn't need it. How have you been? She asked. The question sounded genuine, but neutral. I've been good, he said. The answer felt incomplete, but he didn't know how to explain everything that had changed inside him since learning about her success. She nodded slightly. I'm glad. Another pause. Around them, the conference continued. Voices, laughter, movement, but their conversation felt isolated from the noise. I didn't expect to see you here, he admitted. She tilted her head slightly. This industry is small once you enter it. He smiled faintly. That's true. He hesitated before asking the question that had been burning inside him. When did all this happen? Her expression softened slightly. Slowly, she said. That's usually how it looks from the inside. He nodded. He remembered how impatient he used to feel watching her work, how he measured progress by visible milestones. She had measured progress by consistency. I didn't realize, he began, then stopped. Didn't realize what? She asked gently. He swallowed. How serious you were about building something. She held his gaze calmly. I was always serious. The words weren't accusatory, just honest. And honesty hurt more. He nodded slowly. I see that now. She studied him for a moment, as if trying to understand something deeper. What made you come today? She asked. Curiosity, he admitted, then added quietly, and maybe regret. The word hung between them. She didn't react immediately, didn't rush to comfort him, didn't offer reassurance. Instead, she took a slow breath. Regret is a heavy emotion, she said softly. Yes. And what exactly do you regret? Her question was calm, but direct. Marcus hesitated, because answering honestly meant admitting something difficult. I regret not believing in you the way you believed in yourself. Silence followed. She looked down briefly, processing his words. That was hard at the time, she admitted. I know. No, she said gently, looking back up. I don't think you do. The statement wasn't harsh, but it carried truth. He felt his chest tighten. I thought you didn't see me, she continued quietly. I thought you measured my worth by how quickly I moved. He nodded slowly. I did. Saying it out loud felt like confession. She didn't look angry, just reflective. It hurt, she said simply. The honesty landed heavily. He wished she would show anger. It would be easier to process. Instead, her calmness forced him to confront his own actions without defense. I thought I was making the right decision, he said quietly. I know, she replied. That surprised him. You do? Yes, she said. You always chased momentum. That's who you were. And who I still am, he admitted. She smiled faintly. Maybe. The conversation felt different from anything he expected. No drama, no emotional explosion, just two people acknowledging reality. He noticed something else now. She wasn't trying to impress him. She wasn't seeking approval. She was simply present. And that realization deepened his regret, because he remembered when she used to look at him with hope, with trust. And now She looked at him with clarity. A conference organizer approached briefly, asking if she was ready for another interview. She nodded politely, then turned back to Marcus. "It was good seeing you," she said. The words sounded final. He felt urgency rise suddenly. "Wait," she paused. "I'd like to talk more," he said quickly. "Maybe coffee sometime?" She considered for a moment, not emotionally, logically. Then she smiled gently. "I don't think that would be a good idea." The rejection was soft, but firm, and somehow respectful. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Because I worked hard to build peace after you left," she said, "and revisiting old dynamics isn't always healthy." The words landed gently, but decisively. He nodded slowly. "I understand." She studied him briefly. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Marcus." Then she turned and walked away. He watched her disappear into the crowd, and for the first time, he fully understood the weight of what he had lost. Marcus watched her walk away until she disappeared into the crowd, and only then did he truly understand something he had avoided for years. She hadn't changed. Not really. She had simply become more fully herself. The calm confidence, the quiet certainty, the patience he once mistook for hesitation. It had always been there. He just didn't know how to recognize it. The conference lights dimmed as the event began closing, but Marcus remained still, standing in the same place, surrounded by people who once defined success for him. And suddenly, none of it felt the same. He walked outside slowly. The night air felt colder than before. Or maybe it was just clarity settling in. He realized something that hit deeper than regret. He didn't lose her when she became successful. He lost her the moment he stopped believing in her vision. The success only revealed what had already happened. Weeks passed. Marcus changed in ways that felt quiet but undeniable. He listened more, judged less. He stopped measuring people by how quickly they moved and started noticing how deeply they built. One evening, he attended another industry event. Someone mentioned her name again, not as someone's partner, not as someone rising, but as a legend already shaping the future. He smiled softly, not with longing, with understanding, because for the first time, he didn't want to reclaim the past. He wanted to grow beyond it. And then came the moment that changed everything inside him. He watched an interview where she was asked a simple question. "What did success teach you about relationships?" She paused thoughtfully, then answered, "It taught me that the right people don't rush your timeline. They respect your becoming." Marcus felt something shift deeply within him. Not pain, not jealousy, acceptance. Because he realized something powerful. She didn't become a billionaire after he left. She became one because she stayed true to herself when he walked away. And his regret wasn't about losing her success. It was about losing the opportunity to grow alongside her strength. Months later, he walked past a bookstore and saw her face on the cover of a magazine. He stopped, smiled gently, and kept walking. Not because he stopped caring, but because he finally understood the difference between love and ownership. Sometimes, the greatest lesson isn't getting someone back. It's becoming the kind of person who would never make the same mistake again. And sometimes, the person you underestimate is the person who teaches you who you really are.